Hey everybody, and welcome back to the StarCityGames.com Invitational. I'm Joey Pasco here with Gerry Thompson. Gerry, why don't you tell us about what you're playing in Standard?
Well, I decided to switch it up a bit and play a Delver deck. So, I have the same mana base from the Esper Spirits deck from Pro Tour Honolulu, and Gataxian Probe, Ponder, pretty much the same stuff. Thought Scour is a card that people have played with alongside Runechanter's Pike and Lingering Souls, which I also have, and it's just kind of a value card, another cantrip. It's like maybe 1.1 of a card because you end up hitting a Lingering Souls that you want.
Right.
And then I have Mana Leaks, and my removal is only Vapor Snag.
Okay.
And then my creature package is a little different. I have Snapcaster and Delver, which are obvious, and then I have some Blade Splicers. And a lot of people play Geist of St. Trapped in that spot, but I like the Splicer because it's good on aggro and on defense. So if you play against a deck with Undying creatures like Drolf's Messenger, Strangleroot Geist, something like that, you really want a Blade Splicer. You don't want a Geist of St. Trapped that can neither attack or block.
Right.
So it's more in the middle, you know. It's not going to be like a 2 or a 9 like Geist is, but it's going to be like a 6 or a 7 every single time.
That makes sense.
So the spice is kind of over here. We have a Gather the Townsfolk, which I think we can kind of set up the Fateful Hour against decks like Zombies and Green-Red. And I wanted another creature that would also flip my Delver, so I think that's pretty good. And then Timely Reinforcements, what am I going to do with these tokens? That's why we have the intangible virtues.
Yeah, they're kind of your Drogskull captains.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically the same thing that we were thinking, except it doesn't die. So you play against a control deck that tries to curse you. They can't just like kill your captain and wipe your board.
Right.
Or post board when you have removal spells for their curse, you don't want all your guys to die first, then you kill the curse, then you rebuild. You want to keep this in play. And then we have a Miser's Sword of War and Peace. We just wanted like a big card to dig for, basically. We considered like Gideon, Elspeth, maybe Jace, Sorin, stuff like that. But I think I wanted some swords on the board, so I figured I'd just play one hand.
Speaking of the sideboard, why don't you tell us about that?
Zombies is a pretty big problem, so we have Purges and Timely Reinforcements. And Reinforcements I wouldn't like, except for the fact that I have the Virtues. Okay. So I think that is what pushes it over the top. The fact that you can play Virtue on 2 and then Timely on 3 and just like brick wall their guys is great. We have Dissipates for ramping control, Phantasmal Image, which is mainly for Thrawn, but is also good against Geist of St. Traft. But this deck, it doesn't really care about Geist that much when you have a Virtue, because every single token you have is gonna
it has Vigilance, can
block it down. Normally you double block with Lingering Souls, they blow you out with a Vapor Snag, and then you fall kind of behind. But Virtue kind of fixes that. Steel Sabotage is for the mirror, where people are going to try and beat you with swords and stuff. But it's also for control, where they have Ratchet Bomb and maybe Worm Coil Engine. Another sword, and then the Get Big package against control decks. Jace Memory Adept is awesome against blue-black control. They have basically no way to interact with it, but Esper started popping up a little bit, and they have Lingering Souls, so you start milling them, and then they have a bunch of tokens that can attack your Jace, so that kind of sucks. But we do have Virtue and our own Souls, but instead of like you play it against blue-black and you immediately start milling them, against Esper you probably Howling Mine yourself for a few turns, and wait until you're set up enough to be able to protect your Planeswalker and then kill him. So it takes a little longer, but it's still just as good. And the Sorin, it's okay against control. It's mainly there as another Timely Reinforcements and another Intangible Virtue. We kind of wanted a split card and something like that fits the curve. You don't really want to go like 3-drop, 3-drop, 3-drop. Like if you're doing stuff on turn 4 and turn 5, you might as well be spending all your mana. Right. And then Moorland Haunt is just the best land to bring in when you're bringing in all your expensive cards, I think. So.
Yeah, definitely love the looks of this deck. What do you expect, or what are you seeing in the format that made you decide on this deck? Or is it just a comfortability factor too?
Yeah, like I lean towards Delver a lot. I like the free wins that the deck gets, and Lingering Souls is obviously very powerful. And there's going to be a lot of zombies, a lot of green-red aggro, and I want to be able to beat those decks, which Delver typically has a hard time with. Like you have Stalker and Equipment and Geist, but Geist gets blocked, and then post-board they have Grudges for all your equipment, so the Stalker's not that good, so I just wanted a way to interact with them better, not rely on just equipment to beat them. So I think the Virtue gives me a good shot at that, and it's just great against Curse of Death's Hold, which is what all the control decks are trying to beat you with.
I know in your article you were talking about Sun Titan.
Yeah.
What was the? I know you seem to want to play Sun Titan.
I do.
I got that impression from the article this week. But why did you decide to cut it? Just didn't have the room?
No, I don't think it fits well with this game plan. Okay. I think there's a bunch of different ways you can build your deck, obviously, and Sun Titan is a decent trump, but I think Virtue is a cheaper trump, and it meshes well with the rest of your deck. Like, you don't have to have this big sideboard plan, you just have this thing that's already integrated into your deck.
Okay. What decks do you not want to see?
I think right now we're pretty set against everything. Black-white tokens, is kind of bad because they have the same stuff that you do. Like in those matchups, all that really matters are the anthems, because if all their guys are 2/2s, all yours are 1/1s, like you're just getting a crushing combat, your position's going to crumble, you're going to lose. So that matchup kind of sucks because they have more anthems. We're trying to just like get them with a sword basically, and maybe draw more virtues than they have. But other than that, I think I'm pretty confident against everything else. And just want to point out that Intangible Virtue and like kind of the way this deck was built was all a Michael Jacob thing.
Okay. Yeah, Michael Jacob, pretty good pedigree there with deck building.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
So awesome. Well, thanks, Gerry, for sharing your deck with us. We'll be back later on with some more coverage from the StarCityGames.com Invitational in Baltimore.